All right, all right. I think things are going pretty good. Just gonna be yeah. So we got a fun episode we've been talking about for a while, and I figure post holiday season is a good time to bring it up because this brings back a lot of memories of people working Black Friday. Tales from retail. We all had stories. For those of us who did work retail, we all have some kind of stories regards to dealing with customers, the sort of day-to-day activities, some very specific quirks on the specific store you worked at, the location may have like played a factor. But I feel like you and me, that's how we sort of knew each other, was a shared store we worked at, which
That
was a
is
total
true.
shack, the place we worked at.
It was a shit
Radio
shack.
Shack. Yeah,
Shit
yeah.
shack.
The Radio Shack, which tried to rebrand itself as The Shack, but then they dropped it after they realized it sounded like shit. But yeah, but I worked. I didn't, surprisingly, I didn't work a whole lot of retail jobs. Off the top of my head, I think I only worked 3. The Radio Shack one was the longest running one, and I worked like 2 before that. I think you got around more in the retail sphere, right?
I've worked at so many retail places. I'm not even going to remember all of them. I worked at Walmart, Best Buy, Radio Shack, American Eagle, um, Applebee's. I don't know if that's not really retail, but it's in that same
Yeah,
area.
that's actually a story from the restaurants. I
Yeah.
never worked in the food industry. I would like to hear stories from like
Yeah.
the either fast food or even like a proper like waiting staff restaurant. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, I mean, I worked retail for like 6 or 7 years, so I have my plenty of fair share of stories.
Yeah, and the tough thing with this is like trying to find like a good opener. Should we go with something funny or really annoying and distressing? Because I feel like I want to start with like a very like really dumb, like just dealing with dumb people in general. The first major retail job I worked at was just a place called Dollar General, which wasn't a dollar store. It was like a small scale like Walmart, pretty much a general convenience store. And they always understaffed their store, big shock. And it was you work the register, but when there's no customers around, you try to stock shelves, and you have to run back and forth and yo-yo back and forth. Good exercise, I guess. But I remember once I was stocking shelves like across the way. Our store was like, I don't know, like about like maybe 150 feet like long, and I was on the complete other end. But I can see the register, and I look back occasionally just to see if there's any customers. So I was like just stocking some shelves, and then when I turned my head, and there was like a lady's like, "Oh, thank God, you finally heard me." I was like, "Wait, what?" "Oh yeah, I was calling at you, and I heard something vague in the background. Apparently, she was going psst to me from across the goddamn store several times before I just randomly turned and saw her.
That is
I mean,
so
like,
funny.
it was just a minor dumb thing, but that always stuck with me because it was like the most perplexing thing.
If you want to get somebody's, I have to say that's one thing that if you're going to a store, it's kind of weird to get somebody's attention if they're not paying attention. Like, let's say they're stocking a shelf or something and they don't know you're there. But
yeah,
I
but
always
then
say,
they
like,
have to.
"Oh, excuse me." Like,
Yeah, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Some.
So, like, that's kind of funny to go. Psst,
Because surprisingly, the sound doesn't travel that far. I don't know. Do you have any like mild anecdotes from stores you worked at before we worked at the same store?
Well, one thing I do want to bring up is about that Dollar General. I went into that Dollar General once, and this was already after. I think you were not working there anymore, but I went into that Dollar General once, and I went into they have food there. They have cereal. I was actually going to the cereal aisle, but they have meats too, which I always found kind of like weird for a dollar store to carry. It's not a dollar store. It's more of
it's not a dollar store. It's a deceptive. It's a deceptive title, a deceptive name.
Yeah. But I went to the meat section just to see like what do they carry here? And they had a package of pepperoni. And I was like, let me take a look at this. And I grabbed the pepperoni and I saw that there was mold all over it. And I saw that it expired a year prior. And I was like, this is disgusting. Do people actually buy their food here? Because that's dangerous.
Yes. And let me tell you, with the store we worked at, and I mentioned we were understaffed. Like, we only had 3 people at most on shift at once. And you know, I don't know, cutting. Interestingly enough, they paid a little over minimum wage, which was a little more generous. But that whole thing about the rotting food, let me tell you, one time we were doing an audit at the store, and there was people from different store, and this is for the Dollar General. There was people at different stores just like scanning items, you know, like how audits are, how tedious it is. And I didn't want to look like I wasn't working because, you know, I felt like there wasn't too much need to go into the shelf, like the aisles to like front, you know, sort of make the shelves look tidy because they have to go through scan everything. But I didn't want to look lazy because there was like high level people, like the district manager was there. I was like, and I told my supervisor, I was like, you know what I'm gonna do when there's no customers? I'm just gonna go through the food aisle and just look for, like, in the back, just to check for anything expired, you know, just, you know, very quick thing to run through. So, and then as I was doing this, like almost immediately, I was like, shit, this is months old. Let me put this in the cart. Oh, this is months old. And I just, the whole shelf, every item is like, okay, this is expired, throw in, expired, throw in. And I went down a single aisle, which the store was segmented, like the whole length plus like a middle bit and then more aisles. The aisle themselves wasn't that long. It was like maybe 20, 30 feet long. When I got done with one aisle, which was the snack food area, like crackers and you know, stuff like that, Cheez-Its, I had a full 2 shopping carts full of expired food. And it was really bad.
You know what I want to say is that manager of that store probably did not throw that stuff out. Probably put it back on the shelf because
that's a health code violation. They absolutely can't.
Well,
because when I turned it in, though, the supervisor was scanning that as a loss and then throwing them all out
because
immediately
sometimes,
after.
like at least at RadioShack, the loss would go against the manager's payroll, like or bonus rather.
Oh.
So they never wanted to throw things out because it went against their bonus. So it would actually hurt them to throw things out. So that's why I was kind of saying that. But I guess they took care of it, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a big deal, the health code violation. Because I mean, it's different for RadioShack because it's, you know, consumer electronics. But at a store with food, that's an inevitability. You know, food going bad. So maybe it worked a little different. But, you know, that reminds me, speaking of health code violation, right as I was about to, like, leave that store and I was going to start working at RadioShack, there was a problem at that store. You know those little tiny moths?
Yeah.
They were all over the store. And we had a fan going. And they would get sucked in the fan all the time and die. And then there was just, a lot of them on the floor, and it was disgusting. It was like, what is going on? Where are these things coming from? And we couldn't figure out the source. We just figured it was outside the store or in the walls, and we can do nothing about it. But customers complained. It was nasty. You're buying food, and there's maggots everywhere. And, you know, I didn't like the manager at the time, because the new manager came in. He was a total dick. And I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to look for somewhere else. You know, maybe this place, RadioShack, that seems like it could be a little better. Get to learn about technology. So then, you know, I was in the process of leaving. There was one of my coworkers there who hated the place even more than I did. When they left, they decided to file a complaint to the Board of Health. It was like, there is a moth infestation in this store somewhere. Like, and then apparently I wasn't there for this, but some representatives from the Board of Health came. They looked around, they noticed the moths, and they were like, okay, something's amiss here. This whole section where all the flour is, where all the food is, we're just going to take them all. We're going to take them all. We're going to, you know, like, and then they had a bunch of guys to sort of slowly take all these, and they left a whole quarter of the store barren of food. Mostly where the flour was, because I guess flour is a common place for these moths to congregate. After they did that, the moth infestation was gone. So there really was somewhere in the back, probably by where the flour was, an infestation, like little maggots coming out where the moths were coming from, and it was gross. And
that's crazy. And for anybody, like for the people listening to this, what's funny is this place sounds disgusting, right? Like, who would shop there? They're still there today. They are still there. Yeah. They're still open. It's like, how are they still in business? Yeah, still gross.
I mean, I don't. It seems like a decent profit margin. You're just selling food, and it's a convenient place to go when you don't want to go to Walmart. It was in a good location where people come and go, and there was no other alternative. Where that store is located, there's like a bunch of restaurants and like specific stores, but no general retail store. There's a couple of other options like dollar stores, and there is a ShopRite, but it's like the ShopRite's up in a corner, and it's a bit more annoying to go to a big box store like Walmart. Speaking of Walmart, you worked at Walmart, and I've never worked in a big box retail. I avoided that hell. Can you tell us a little bit about that hell?
So I actually only worked at Walmart for like a couple of weeks, maybe 2 weeks. I just couldn't stand it. Well, yeah. So when it came to Walmart, what I actually did this. I worked at Walmart while I was working at my very first Radio Shack. I've been to 3 different Radio Shacks. So I worked at Walmart during that first Radio Shack because I didn't like the way that Radio Shack was run, so I wanted to go somewhere else. So I applied to the electronics section of Walmart because it looked clean, it looked nice. They had some cool stuff there. So I was really excited. I got the job and I worked in the electronics department. But in the electronics department, you don't actually do anything with electronics. All you do is stock the shelves and check people out when they come over. That's it.
Sounds about right.
I remember the one thing I did enjoy about Radio Shack, I don't know who that's watching this has ever been to a Radio Shack, but they took pride in their employees knowing the products, right?
Oh,
you
yeah.
Walk into a Radio Shack and they could be like,
we were low-scale IT. We were low-scale IT, pretty much. We were told if someone has no intention of buying anything, if they call, you help them with their general tech issue to the best of your ability. If you want to talk about the training process, because surprisingly, Radio Shack training was a little more intense than the average store.
Right, exactly. They were, even if the customer knew that they weren't going to buy it, still talk to them because you might have a potential client down the road. That's the way Radio Shack thought, and it's an old-fashioned way to think, and it's a fine way to think, I guess. It's different.
Yeah.
Walmart has the complete opposite mentality. I remember my very first day, I was talking to this guy about chargers, and he's like, "What charger do I get?" Because this is back when there was a ton of chargers on the market.
Oh fuck, that sucked.
Yeah, there was mini USB, micro USB. There was all those Samsung
proprietaries.
Ones. Bunch. Yeah, proprietary ones. So he was like, "I don't know which one to get," and I'm like, "Oh, let me help you out." And I told him which one. And I remember coming back to the register, and the guy's like, "Oh no, don't do that. They don't like that here. They don't like when you talk to customers." And I was like, "That's really funny." They don't want you to talk to customers. They don't want you to help.
Are you distracting them?
Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't last long because it was just stocking shelves. But I can remember this very funny story that it was so miserable there, and I hated working there. So what I ended up doing is I realized that they don't care about you. You're just a number. They don't even know your name most of the time, right? You're just a number.
Hard to find a store that doesn't feel that way, but yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what I did was I actually I clocked in. I worked for a little bit. I'm like, I'm so done with this. So I actually just walked out of Walmart. Somebody picked me up, and I went to go do like other activities. I went to GameStop or Best Buy down the road, and I just hung out for a little bit, and I came back to my shift.
Defrauding the company. How dare you?
Well, technically, yes, but they were like, "Wow, you took a really long bathroom break." I was gone for like 3 hours. They had no idea that I was even gone.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I do feel kind of bad because I don't want to steal from the company, but
Seals hasn't worked retail since 2013. Good
Seals,
for you.
I would love to know where you worked because retail is retail, but where you work, that makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
wondering.
with Walmart, that's pretty much it. It was more just stocking shelves. They had this weird quirk that the reason I wanted to work there was because I shopped there all the time. I wanted the discounts. You get 10%.
10%, which was pretty good off, across the board, except for food.
But you don't get 10% until you work there for 90 days. And I was like, I'm not.
Really? Oh, the probation period. Yeah. That's how they get you.
And later on, they even give you free Walmart stock and other stuff, which is really cool. But I didn't last there, so
we got no stock options for Radio Shack. Why didn't we get stock options for Radio Shack? We'd be rolling in it right now.
It would have been worthless. So.
Hey, you're sleeping on the Radio Shack stock. I got a feeling that's gonna shoot through the roof, go to the moon pretty soon.
It's back on the market for a while. It was actually taken off the NASDAQ. I remember that day. I was like, what happens to all the people that had
we actually knew bankruptcy or title. What would they call it? Title 9? I forget the official name for bankruptcy.
Chapter 12 bankruptcy.
Chapter 12, sorry. Title 9
something 12, Chapter 9, something like that, yeah.
I don't know, but we knew about this like a month before the general public because we got letters about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some inside info.
inside info, which is why we can't trade the stocks because we get inside info to sell,
Yeah.
sell.
Yep.
Ugh.
So funny.
Mm.
So other jobs, I mean, trying to think of some other funny stories, but I know at
Before we get into our feature presentation of us working at RadioShack,
Radio Shack.
Seals
Radio
just
Shack
gave
by
us a
far is the
list.
best.
Worked at Hobby Lobby. I don't even know what that is. Kroger, or is that a clothing store? The Liquidator.
Kroger
is
like a shop right down south.
Okay. The Liquidator, don't know. Office Depot, that actually sounds boring as hell. I never worked in Office Depot, so I don't know. A used video store. I mean, I feel like you can have good conversations. I don't know. Maybe it's not as good as I think. A mom pa Apple store. Mom pa's are generally pretty okay. And Geek Squad. I wanted to work at Geek Squad for a bit, but never panned out.
I'm curious as to what you mean as a mom and pop Apple store. So like, do they just sell Apple?
I think it's
products,
a franchise. It's a franchise
because Apple is they don't franchise stores out, so I find that very interesting. Unless they only
maybe
sold
they used
Apple
to.
products.
Maybe they used to.
Maybe back in the day.
Because Seal said it was 2013, so maybe before.
Yeah.
And Ferris says, happy to be done with retail. You and me both. I'm done with service jobs in general. I don't even.
Retail kind of sucked, but I do miss Radio Shack. If they were still open, I would still work there.
Yeah, and just dealing with the people is like, I don't mind retail, just dealing with the people is really annoying. I have like two like people, like I had one guy who was buying a whole bunch of food, groceries, and he's with his wife. And my manager at the time warned me, because he was a regular. My manager warned me the first time he came in. It's like, you gotta be careful with that guy. That guy has like the shortest fuse imaginable. So just be careful around him. And I the few times he came in, didn't really interact. He bought something or whatever. And then like we were buying all these things, and then he bought something. It was like, and I forget what it was, but it was like, wait a minute, that was 15 cents cheaper on the price tag. Like, and I was like, oh well, let me see. So then I walk over. And it was, do you know the phrase starting at X? Starting at, $5.
Yes.
That means it starts and goes up. Mm-hmm. And I told him this. It's like, oh yeah, it says starting at, that means that's the low ball price, but then it sort of scales up from there. And then he started to like almost yell at me. It's like, how can you justify that when you list a price and you don't actually make the price? And I was like, ugh, whatever. And then I told my supervisor, yeah, he's complaining about the price. And then she walked over and lowered the price by 15 cents. And then he had like this like smug look, like he really won. Ooh, 15 cents.
The smug looks were always the best. They would always get that smug look when they're done. They get what they want.
All right. Oh, Seals clarified. MacTown, authorized retailer of Apple products. I never even heard of that.
So I've heard of
MacTown. Really, Mama.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, 2013. That's like the iPhone. I believe that's the iPhone 4 and iPhone 5 days. So that's a good time to work with Apple products. That's like to me. That's
I remember dismantling those phones, and goddamn, the iPhone 4 was annoying to replace screens for. Oh yeah, one other minor thing. At my store, the Dollar General, we had a big pothole in the parking lot for the longest time. The problem is we didn't own the property. The bank did, and we told the bank we need the pothole filled, but they kept ignoring us. People would complain. People would run into the pothole, get pissed at us. It was like, complain to the store, because then the store will complain to the bank. There's nothing we can do. And one guy got so pissed off that he grabbed our garbage can that was by the entrance, threw it over the pothole, and he had a big ass truck, and he just ran it over, like spewing garbage everywhere.
That'll show you.
Yeah. How dare we not fill our pothole? That's not technically our responsibility, but
the part of retail that always makes me laugh is like, customers will get so mad at you,
oh yeah,
employee,
you are the representation of your store.
Yeah, like you just work there. You're just doing your time so you can get some money. Like,
I don't really care about the store, and I don't care about you.
General. Yeah,
like you can be like the. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you really showed me.
Right. Right. Like, do you care?
Yeah.
That the garbage can was running over? No, you don't.
No, I was like, yeah, whatever, dude. I just know you as a dickhead, and if I ever met you outside of the job, I'll know the kind of person you are.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's too funny.
But yeah, you got any other minor things before we move on to our Radio Shack anecdotes?
No, the only thing that I always found kind of funny was I worked at Aeropostale, which is like one of those like, teenage shirt and jeans store, and they required that you wore layers. That was the uniform. You had to wear layers.
Layers? How was the summer?
Is like,
how was the summer?
Yeah, the summer was bad. So what that means is like, if I had say this is my sleeve, okay? I can even, I mean, I guess, no, it's too hard to show you here. Say this is my sleeve. Basically, I can't pretend this is my shirt. I can't just have my shirt on my skin. I have to show layers. So like I would have to wear an undershirt like this, and the customer would have to see that I have a shirt plus the white underneath. So it's like it's a look, it's a style, it's a layer.
Do you also have to show the customer you sweating during the summer?
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, so that means like in 80 to 90 degree weather, you would have to wear 2 shirts if you think about it. So I was like, F that, I'm not doing that. So what I did is I took one of these white shirts and I just cut the sleeve, basically this section of the sleeves off, and I stapled it to the bottom of my sleeves. So that was a nice way to get past that.
That's real MacGyvering right there. I wouldn't think to do that. Did you get in trouble? How dare you defy the integrity of the uniform?
They did not know. It was pretty great. They also told me that, so like, ready for this? The shoes that you had to wear were flip-flops. You had to wear flip-flops.
Oh God.
And they could not have any symbols on them. They could not have like what.
That's most flip-flops.
Well, they couldn't have any brand.
The good one.
And I had a pair of flip-flops that said
Did you carve it off? Did you carve it off?
Yeah, I had to cut it off with scissors.
That sounds so ratchet, that kind of store. Like, my God.
Yeah, well, that was the style.
They actually, yeah,
Seals,
they do.
Yep.
They do make, Deathrow here is the pioneer. Where are his royalties?
Yeah, where are my royalties on that? I mean, that's pretty smart.
You should have sold that.
At the end of the day, it's just a look, right? It's a look, and they did it a lot in like the early 2000s and the 90s. But like, why do I want to wear 2 shirts? I don't. That's very heavy, and I'm gonna sweat. So yeah.
Oh yeah. If you want to talk about the dress code for RadioShack, our district had a stricter dress code than the rest of the RadioShacks. I think they all are okay with jeans. We had to wear black khakis, and the earliest iteration was a red polo shirt, which you had to pay for, which was annoying. Well, I just went to Target.
Actually, so I guess that's a good way to segment into RadioShack. I worked there, just to give a little background. I worked at RadioShack for 5 years. I think GK worked there for what, 2, 3?
Yeah, 3, 4. I lost track. Okay. It's all blurred. It was when I was in college.
I just want to say that like I worked a little bit longer, so I saw a little bit the older RadioShack. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That is very true, Seals.
Yes, innovations are not made by engineers; they're made by lazy people. Yeah. Anyway, continue. I just wanted to point that out.
So I started at RadioShack in 2011. Now in 2011, the dress code was jeans and a gray polo. So I at the time had one gray polo. I said, let me order a couple more. So I ordered them. They were $50 each. From RadioShack, they had the little
$50. Like you can go to any like store that has a generic gray polo.
I was kind of pressured by the manager. I didn't know that you could do that. Well, I knew you could do that, but the manager kind of pressured me, and he's like, "It comes right out of your paycheck. It's very convenient."
That's still money out of your pocket. Like, yeah, it makes no difference.
So I did it. I bought them $50 each. Just over a year later,
you better pay for your lunch after that.
They switched the dress code to red polos. So the gray ones I bought, complete garbage. They were pointless.
Did you throw them out?
Yeah, just threw them out in the garbage.
Why did you just keep them? I like polos.
Best part, I went and I bought 2 more red polos from RadioShack. Again, $50 each.
Man, you are a sucker.
I was an idiot. I fell for the manager tricks. He probably got like
the manager tricks.
Yeah.
I don't know, make part of the payroll. But yeah, I want to. This is sort of like a minor thing, like sort of in the middle of everything. Do you remember, like on Sundays, you used to wear jeans because you didn't care about the dress code?
Yeah. Yep.
I remember when we had a certain I forget their name actually, but they were not a district manager, but they were managerial, and they were from a different store, but they would come in, and you were on the register. He came in, and he asked you, "Yo, Dan, what's with the jeans?" And you said, "Oh, I just got off of break."
That doesn't even make sense. But Hey, it worked. He's like, oh,
no,
okay.
I think like he said like, oh, okay, like he knew that you were full of shit, but he couldn't
Yeah.
really do anything about it without being like a micromanager. But
I
I
don't
just thought it was
care.
so funny.
They used to put me on Sundays from 10 to 7 by myself. I used to work
That
10
was
to
the
7 by
dumbest.
myself.
And yeah, we got paid watching TV.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way,
But when people did come in, I was like, what would happen at Radio Shack is you would work, let's say that's shift 10 to 7 by myself, nobody else in the store.
bad.
You would have about 2 hours where nobody would come in. It would be dead. You would just watch TV. It was awesome. You got paid to watch TV. And then you'd have like an hour where literally 50 people come into the store all at once.
Yeah,
And
like
you have
they
to
come in
you have to juggle
packs.
them. You have to juggle them. You have to
Oh
help this
man,
guy and that woman and this person all at the same
that's a
time. You're
tough
by
skill
yourself.
to not make anyone feel like you're putting too much attention on one over the other.
All while your food is in the toaster oven, so you have to remember to turn that off. And if you don't, you're screwed.
Why didn't you put the timer on it?
Well, I don't know. I used to not do that.
All right. Well, here's the thing. But occasionally when we work, at some point we started to work Sundays like with more people. And
Yeah.
I remember one Sunday it was both me and another person. It was Rob, I think. I think we could probably say his first name. No big deal. But we were like, you know what? We're going to make this Sunday, kind of fun for us. So you decided to bring in an Xbox. And you took one of the display TVs. You set up the Xbox so we can we cycle in, we keep an eye on the cameras, we can play a little bit of Xbox, have a little bit of fun. But we did have to stock some shelves. So when we were all on the floor stocking some shelves, guess who walked in the door?
The manager, which actually I remember his name. His name was Mark.
Yes. And then I sort of gave a look to you. I gave a look to Rob. Rob looked at me. Rob looked at you. You just sort of strolled in the back. And then not 30 seconds later, when Mark was looking things over, he walked in the back.
He did.
And tell us what happened, because I don't know. You just made everything vanish.
He's actually not even supposed to be back there, right? It's not his store. He's the manager of another store about 30 miles.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Tell him no?
I know, but he used to just help himself to the back. Get out of there. Anyway, yeah, he came into the back. Now I ran back there as soon as I saw that he was here. I ran back there to put that TV and the Xbox away, because I was like, if he sees this, we're so screwed. So I ran back there. I got the TV. I hid it behind the door. Same with the Xbox, but I left the Xbox controller on the table. He comes in the back and he's like, what's this Xbox controller doing here? And I was like, oh, customer repair.
Which we don't do.
Well, we actually did. We actually did do repairs, but nobody ever did it. We offered the service, but nobody ever did it. But he bought it. He left me alone. And the best part was, I don't know if you guys
didn't he
remember,
tell you? But didn't he tell you? Don't you have work to do?
He said, don't you have work to do? So I think he kind of knew.
The light was flashing on the controller.
Yes. If you remember, when Xbox was not it couldn't connect, the controller couldn't connect, it would blink green. So it was still blinking green, which is why I think he thought we were goofing off. Very funny. Wow, I got through that one on the skin of my teeth. I was behind the door putting the Xbox away as he walked in. It was crazy.
Oh God, that was.
And you would think after that, I would never bring in the Xbox again.
Oh no, we said that right up after he left.
Crazy? Yeah. What I did is I used to just hide the TV behind the door, so if somebody came in, I didn't have to move.
Yeah, we learned.
So,
we learned. Yeah. We gotta hide our lazizness, and exactly. But then we mostly just got a DVD and we watched stuff on the display TV, and we can get away with that. I was like, oh, do you remember? And I think it was our manager brought in a playlist of Looney Tunes. Which you thought, this will be fine, Looney Tunes. This will be great for everyone. So we just had it on loop, playing on its own. We had a bunch of customers in the store, and on that DVD included the episodes that they will never air on TV. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the bad ones, yeah, the racist.
Yeah, the back when 1940s casual racism was in fashion.
Yeah.
And those were playing, and the manager looked over, and was like, oh, it quickly shut that off.
That's funny. That was the downside to bringing in your own stuff, because you were allowed to bring in your own stuff, put it on the TV. But I remember bringing in rated R movies, and you'd have to remember to pause the movie when somebody came in, because if there were curse words, that customer was going to complain.
I could I never had a job where you can even think about playing video games. Well, we worked at a Radio Shack.
A game store? You said you worked at a game store. They didn't allow you to play anything?
Geek Squad. Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
He says a used used
video.
Oh, video. Sorry, video.
That's like video. That's not quite the same. Oh shoot, I sort of lost my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
The Xbox, just playing Xbox, putting stuff on the TV.
Oh, I remember we also had like smart TVs weren't a thing just yet, but we had a thing that allowed you to connect to YouTube, and we used to watch Angry Video Game Nerd.
Yeah,
which if you know the Angry Video Game Nerd, like you can't leave that on when customers are running around.
What GK is talking about is back in the day there were no smart TVs yet. There was attachments that you could put to TVs to make them smart, and we had a
proto Chromecast.
We had like a Logitech version of that. It ran Android.
Didn't work too well, but it worked enough.
Yeah. So we used to put on Angry Video Game Nerd, and you had to remember to pause that when people came in.
Yeah, lets you start yelling shitload of fuck when people are trying to buy something.
I did have one time I forgot to pause it, and I did have a lady email the district manager. I don't know how she got.
I don't even remember this.
Yeah, she actually complained, and then our manager at the time had to sit me down and have a talk with me and say, you can't have your own stuff on the TV because somebody complained.
Well, we just became more careful.
Yes, became more careful after that. Yep.
Oh man. But
speaking
the Radio Shack.
Speaking of customer complaints, I have a pretty good one. This is a very bad habit, but what I used to do is when nobody was in the store, I would sit on the table because they didn't give us chairs or stools, and I'm certainly not going to stand all day if we only have a couple customers come in half the time.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So what I used to do is I would sit on the
that.
table.
We all did that.
I think we all did that. Yeah. But what it ended up happening is this time somebody came in. I was still sitting on the table like an idiot. I didn't get up off the table, and he comes over to me. He's like, "Hey, I need a watch battery." He handed me his watch, and so I looked at it. I tried to open it up. It was old, man. I don't know if you've ever seen a watch where it hasn't been opened in years. You'll see like people's skin in where like you open it, and it's like really nasty. Yeah. But anyway, this is what that watch was like, and I could not open it. And I was like, "Listen, I'm sorry, I cannot open this." And he's like, "You damaged my watch." And I'm like, "You asked me to open it. Like I can't control if it leaves a little scratch because we used to use this. It looks like a screwdriver." He called and complained to the district manager saying that I was sitting on the table like I owned the place. That's exactly what he said. And and then that I didn't want to help him with the watch, and I eventually did, and I ruined his property, and I owe him a new watch. And the district manager had to pay him like $100 and something.
Well, the store, not the
excuse me, the store. Yeah. So
I wasn't there for it, but I feel like I wonder if that whole thing was a ploy just so we can get a new watch.
Maybe I don't know, but after that, I don't know if you remember this. We made a rule where we had to ask,
corporate
is it
rule.
Okay if I try to open this? I can damage the property, or we had to say like, here, you try first.
Yeah, it's because that's saying something that you screwed up so bad that you brought a new corporate rule for everyone to follow. Yeah, dealing with those keep offs suck. Well, yeah, to be fair, that was like they encourage us to like help the customers, but then you deal with the key fobs, especially were annoying.
Key fobs, yeah, those were bad.
Yeah, and I got into this fear of actually repairing phones, opening them up for like the last month. That was my last month at Radio Shack. I got a promotion. Mm-hmm. I went to freaking Yonkers, New York City to go train, which was a pain in the ass to drive to for every day for a week. Then a month later, I got like a new job, and I was like, bye. Thanks for the training.
Yep.
And hey, Epic, how you doing? Share us some of your retail stories. But yeah, I guess do you want to mention how our commission and how we ripped people off, how we lied to people at Radio Shack? Do you want to talk about that?
Let's talk about the commission. So the way Radio
Shack changed works, a lot.
It changed so many times. It was so hard to follow. Epic says that he never worked retail, but he loves hearing the stories.
Oh, you dodged a bullet. Yes.
Yeah, you did dodge a bullet. So we changed commissions so many times at RadioShack. We
From individual to store based. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to work on like a percentage system. So when we sold something to a customer, we would get like 2% of the sale. And then if you sold a phone, they had different phones. It was prepaid and postpaid. Postpaid was like contracts. They did
Contract and no contract.
Yeah. So if you sold phones, you got varying amounts of money. They set up this thing at one point where if you sold a phone, you needed to attach at least, ready for this, four accessories. So just think about you going to buy a phone today. Let's say you get, I don't know, an iPhone. You would have to get 4 accessories: a charger, a car charger, headphones, and an aux cable.
It came with the charger anyway.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So that screwed you right off the bat.
Like, you just hope that they needed to buy something else while getting the phone.
Right. And only certain things counted. Like if they went and bought I'm trying to think of something else we had in the store. Like if they bought a transistor, it would not count as an attach. They had to buy something that the phone would use. So like headphones, things like that. So we had to con so many people into buying junk that they did not need.
Hey, if you buy all 3 of these items, there's a 50% sale or 50% off.
Yeah, they did have that. If you bought the like 4 items,
still rip off.
15% off. Yeah, with our prices, it was a rip off. We'd have to be like, oh, no. You don't want to be stranded in the middle of nowhere and not have a phone.
Or SD cards. Those were popular. Look,
SD
it's
cards.
on sale.
Yeah.
SD cards on sale. Ignore the fact that it's literally on sale 100% of the time.
We used to run sales on the SD cards. Yeah, they were
100% of the time.
100% of the time. Yep. Normally, like
on sale,
an 8 gig SD card would sell for $50, but
it's on sale.
It's on sale for 20.
It was like we were running Black Friday scam sales, but year round.
Yeah. So we always had to be like, please buy this. Like, there was actually a time where our manager, Alyssa, said, listen, I'm going to buy this car charger for you so that I can get my commission. That was so backwards.
Oh, speaking of GameStop, our guest unfortunately couldn't make it, but we will revisit this topic. He worked at GameStop, and he'll be like the feature when he comes back.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got some good ones, but
yeah, like the RadioShack was RadioShack was an interesting time. And not to mention, from what I remember, when I got hired on, they had this overly convoluted of like 5 metric system where you had to get a certain amount of sales, you had to get a certain amount of attach, you had to get service plans, and a bunch of other things. But by the end of it, they simplified it all to a 2% across the board, 3% for phones, or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, they changed it so many times, it was hard to keep up with. But they did have one like that where you had to have a certain attach rate of service plans,
of key items, key
items. Yeah, those stupid warranties. You had to do key items. They had so many different systems. They finally eventually landed on you get 2% of everything. That was the best. I mean,
yeah, that was simple. It was easy to calculate. So service plans. Don't you think it's in your best interest to always get the service plan?
Yeah, I can tell you. I mean, it's so funny because these are still offered today by Walmart and other places. In fact, I just bought a game at GameStop and they're like, do you want to get the service plan? It's only $1. I'm like, no, I don't. But I actually went into a GameStop where they just attach it. They didn't even ask. They just attached it and they just put it on anyway. And I'm like,
take that off.
Yeah, take that off. But anyway, yeah, I mean, the service plans, there were times where you would buy something for $30 and the service plan was $11 or $12, right? So that's like 30% of your set of what you're paying, you know?
Why don't you tell the process of how to turn in the service plan?
Yeah, I mean, what you'd have to do for the service plan is like, think about this. In 2 years, the item has to break. Then you have to come to RadioShack and RadioShack has to try to fix it. Okay? So like we would sit there and try to tinker with it and fix it. Then if we couldn't in the store, which we would only spend a couple of minutes on it, then we'd be like, all right, you're eligible for a replacement. So what we would do is we'd ship it off and we'd give them a gift card so they can go buy it again. The problem is we'd give them what they spent, and a lot of the time, sometimes the price would go up on that item, or we wouldn't even carry the item anymore. So it's like you're not getting a direct replacement.
Hmm.
I'll never forget those cassette tapes. So back in the day, you used to use a lot of cassette tapes. It'd go into the cassette deck, and then it would go into an aux cable. That used to, when I first started at RadioShack, it was only $15.
Those were
But
pieces of garbage.
by the time RadioShack closed up shop, it was $25. So can you imagine having a service plan? You get your $15 back. You're like, yes, all right, cool. I'm glad I invested in this. Now I get to get another one for free, right? No, you now have to pay another $10 just because the price has gone up. So
Yeah, it got so bad, and we had to have an attack like a service plan rate of like 30% or something ridiculous like that.
yeah. So basically, 30% of all customers had to have bought the service plan from us, and I actually took a lot of pride in this. My service plan rate was 40%. I don't know how the hell I did that because
Cheated.
it's junk. It's junk. Why are you buying this? You know?
The wires, we I don't know how we were able to always pull this off, but we didn't even follow the protocol for wire. All we did was like you saw the wires, like, hey, it's $1 or $2. Like, you can literally just come swap it in, and we would replace it for you. We just had to hope they come back to our store, because I don't know if every store did this, and we would just straight up go take a new wire, take it out of the package, give them the new one, and take the old one, and say, there you go. But your plan is now spent. And then we take the old broken wire, put it in the package, and then set it off as a loss, a broken product. That's how we got around it.
The reason we did that for wires is because wires only cost us like 20 or 30 cents to make. So
high profit margin.
Yeah. We used to sell them for like $12, but so that's why we were able to do that. The manager would just eat the cost, and that's fine. 30 cents, who cares? It makes the customer happy, so that's why we did that. Yeah.
Yeah, and surprisingly that worked. But do you remember the spiels, like, for stuff that normally you wouldn't, and you would never buy it, and you're trying to lie to this guy? It's like, do you want a service plan, in case, it winds up not working? It's like, what, are you saying this product is not good, it's going to break? It's like, oh, no, sir. The thing is, though, it's not indestructible. Nothing's indestructible. And wouldn't it be nice to know you have some kind of coverage in case things, go wrong? Instead of buying a whole thing over again, you can just spend, like, maybe, like $5 to get a full replacement. Wouldn't that just be easier to deal with instead of buying a whole new one?
Yep. I mean, I used to come up with all these spiels, and they never worked. I think what really made it was I was able to get 40% attach rate some months. Really, when people bought wires, because the wires, think about it, like, you're always using the wire, it's gonna break. In our wires,
especially the aux
really
wires.
Cheap. Yeah, the aux wires too. Our wires were so cheap they would break often.
How about selling them the premium wires that were like way over expensive for no reason?
We used to make these
braided wires.
Braided cable. I actually liked those.
But they were not worth the price. They were way too expensive.
Yeah.
And then there were some wires that has like some plastic or some kind of shell around it to be super durable. I mean, sometimes it's like, hey, if you have a stereo, like an entertainment system set up outside, maybe this will be a good weatherproof HDMI wire. You might want to consider getting that, but it's a very situational thing.
Right. And I don't know if you remember, we used to have like regular brand wires and then premium brand wires. We used to have RadioShack brand and Auvio. Auvio was our premium brand, and now I know this as an employee. There is no difference between the two. They are exactly the same wire, but
thanks to the name, trusted name.
Tell the customer that this is a good name. This is Auvio. This is the best name. So you
retains higher quality.
Yeah. You try to upsell them to the better quality one. Hey, don't you want this one?
Has better connections.
Yeah, those wires were freaking like the HDMI wires were like $50 for like 25 feet.
Ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. One funny thing was, I remember on one service plan, this happened at least once or twice, maybe 2 or 3 times, where the customer was buying a product, and let's say the wire was $8. The service plan was $8. So they would basically be buying the wire twice. And
hey, they could get it replaced instead of spending the same money in the future. They can spend the money now.
Their future expense now. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. My minor thing about the HDMI, I just vaguely remember some lady came in. Hey, I'm looking for an HDM1 cable. Oh, HDMI.
HDM1.
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
We used to get that a lot. I would also, yes,
Don't feed
yeah,
me
a lot of
bullshit.
stores.
Too
So,
bad. You're getting that bullshit, and you better buy it, Epic.
well, so Epic, a lot of stores do that because it's basically pure profit margin. Think about it.
Yeah.
You're never going to remember you bought that. So,
Yeah, they have like statistics, number of people who don't even turn in their service plan. They forget about it. You
probably like
need
a
to
good,
have the receipt.
70
How
or
many people lose
80%.
their receipts?
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Right.
And you know what else is good about that? They have a ridiculously high. I remember. I think it was the manager you knew named Joe, who worked in a different store. This is a secondhand story, but a customer asked him. Hey, I'm considering buying the most expensive iPad you had. I was like, oh yeah. So he grabbed it, and then the customer or the fucking thief just reached over, grabbed it, yanked it out of his hands, and then ran out the store.
When it comes to theft, I have the best stories.
But here's the thing about that though. The guy, I don't know how, but he got caught. He must be like really stupid or something. And RadioShack hit him with the because they couldn't recover the item. It's like either they sold it, hawked it, they broke it, or they wanted to keep it. And the guy, when they caught the guy, there's like, okay, you have to spend money on the maximum potential sale. So you're paying for the iPad plus the highest level of service plan, the 3-year coverage and everything. All of that, you're paying for it all because it was a potential sale we lost. That's probably partially why they make the service plan so ridiculous. So when they do catch thieves, they can just hit them with that.
Could be, yeah.
But you guys got any good theft stories?
Yeah. So I have so many theft stories. So I worked at 3 different Radio Shacks. We'll call the first one just location 1. So at location 1, it was actually in a pretty bad area. There was a lot of like poverty around there, and crime rate was high and stuff like that. So what ended up happening was this is genius. Actually, these guys are pretty smart. Somebody came in and they're like, "Hey, can you talk to me about this digital camera?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, what do you need to talk about on a digital camera? You can see the quality of the pictures on it. Like, what is there to talk about? So I'm just explaining the digital camera to him. I'm kind of talking to him about it. As I'm discussing it, my back is to the door. This guy takes like, I guess it would be like super pliers or something. And I don't know if you guys know what a Kensington lock is. It's just a lock that goes on like a laptop. He broke the plastic off the laptop and ran out with the laptop. So these guys were like a tag team. So he could get my back to the door. And the guy just ran out with the laptop. Now he completely shattered the laptop to do this, right? He completely destroyed this thing.
You had to be more careful. Like, what was the point?
It was still functional, but yeah, like it has no resale.
It's harder to sell on the street when it's broken.
Yeah, there's no resale value now. Not to mention you're missing the charger and the
which those are expensive as all hell to replace those.
So
if you're gonna steal something, steal the entire package.
That
or you can do like what one guy did, buy a laptop, and this was at the last location I was at. They bought a laptop, they returned it saying, it's just not for me. And the person didn't check, and inside the laptop box was just a brick. And no one checked it.
That's funny. I can't believe people didn't check it. I mean, that used to happen a lot. I remember people would try to return something, and if you didn't check it, sometimes it would just be completely empty. Somebody tried to return an aux cable to me, and the box was empty. There was nothing in it. And maybe that's a mistake. Maybe it's a mistake, but
yeah, and but if most, I remember like we had these I forget the brand name, but they the screen protectors at the time were like very popular. InvisiShield, I just remembered. People would often like try to return an InvisiShield for like their old phone. Like they get the new InvisiShield, they peel off the old one, put it in the box, saying, "Hey, actually, I don't need this." But we had her one scare, and I don't know if you want to talk about this now. Something a little more overt. You know, someone coming in, you're gonna give me everything I want. The robbery spree. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So where we were in our location, we live kind of close to a highway, and there was location. If you go down this highway,
in a straight line,
locations in a straight line of the highway. It was just location. So first location gets robbed at gunpoint. Second location gets robbed at gunpoint. We were like, well, this is a clear pattern. We are next.
Thankfully, people figured that out because we actually
had the cops. They said they installed like microphones in the store, and
no, I remember they gave us what looked like
a panic button, right?
Yeah, well, they gave us a panic button first off, and they gave us a power strip which had a listening device in it. So we plugged the power strip in a random place.
Yes,
and I remember, I'm pretty sure it did work because randomly they came in once. Hey, it stopped working, and it was slightly loose, and they plugged it back in. Then they went back out to scoping the outside of the store. But now, I don't know if the robbers.
Well, we never got robbed at gunpoint at that store, so it didn't happen.
We got skipped.
Maybe they got caught.
We got skipped.
Oh, they got skipped?
We got skipped.
They went to the next store?
Yeah.
They didn't even know we were there because nobody knew we were there.
Yeah, no. We had a guy like walking around our store.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
That matched the description. Had a hoodie. He was walking around the store.
Fully. He walked into our store. He walked into the back without anybody realizing it, and you can just see him in the cameras.
He didn't steal anything.
He didn't steal anything, but he was just scoping the place out. And you can see him in the back, just looking.
And then he went to the back fire exit and everything.
Yeah. Yep. So he scoped the place out, but he never did it. I don't know why.
It might have been a bad location, like, because even though they couldn't see us, like, there was a Walmart, there's a lot of people coming and going. You had to drive around to get out. I don't know.
There's only one entrance and exit. Yep.
Yeah, it was a choke point, and it was probably not. I guess these were thieves that had a little bit of intelligence, maybe. But I think they wound up getting caught because then they did something stupid, like post on Craigslist. Hey, we're selling like 50 iPhones of
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then like someone went to go offer, like, I think maybe it was a cop went to go check it out, and it matched, like, because we had all the serial numbers written down that were stolen, and it was them. They got caught because they did something stupid after they did the intelligent thing and skipped our store. Thank God, because I didn't want to get robbed at gunpoint. But it was
I was freaked out for a while because I don't want to come in contact with somebody with a gun. I do remember
the gun was fake though.
The
gun was fake though.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, still,
it wasn't real.
They got caught.
But still, though,
the phones in bulk. That's so funny.
Really, really stupid. I talked to one of the guys who did get robbed at gunpoint, and he says that they were in control, and he says, like, okay, man, I get it. Just here to get the things, and they said, we're not going to steal anything from you. We're stealing the things from the store. You take your phone. You shut it off. But
what is this, Robin Hood?
No, they were stealing for themselves, but they apparently made it clear to the employees, this isn't about you. You stay out of our way. They did point the fake gun at people, but
right.
Whatever. It was, I don't know. It was better than like the smash and grab, I guess, or
yeah. Well, okay. So here's another one. Do you remember? We'll get to scams in a second, but do you remember somebody? So we used to carry. Now I don't know if anybody remembers, but during 2011 through like 2016, and even a little bit still today, Beats. Dr. Dre Beats were the hottest headphones.
Hot brand.
Everyone wanted these. Yeah. So we used to carry the empty boxes on the shelf.
I remember this is the dumbest thing imaginable.
We knew people were going to steal them. So we said, all right, let's just keep the empty box. We'll keep the Beats in the back in a cage, locked cage.
Yes.
So somebody comes in, they run, they look at they're just pretending they're looking at the Beats. They grab the box and they run out the door with it.
They rip it off the hook.
They ripped it off the hook and everything. Because
empty box, by the way.
It was a locked hook.
Yes, empty box, by the way.
After that, the box was empty. And you want to know the funny thing? He came back in to return it to us and said, "Oh, I don't know how I got this, but this belongs to you." I wasn't there for the return, but he gave it back to us. So that is hilarious. I don't know why. If it was me,
if I was a thief, I would like, oh, wow, in the heat of the moment, I just grabbed an empty box. Let me throw this out and never speak of it again.
Yeah.
Why go back in the store? Let people see your face.
Yep.
God, that was the dumbest thing.
This is not, I wouldn't call this stealing, but this was funny. This guy came in, this is related to service plans, and he had the service plan on headphones. So what ended up happening is he gave the headphones to the manager. The manager gave him a fresh pair, brand new. Just swapped them out. He didn't pay anything. He's like, "What do you do with the old headphones?" And she's like, "Well, we usually just throw them out." And he's like, so if I ruffle through your garbage can, will I find like a bunch of headphones and stuff? She's like,
No, we
I
destroy
guess.
them. We
Oh
cut them
well,
up.
she'd be like, yeah, we destroy them. We didn't actually destroy them half the time. He went through our
Sometimes we
garbage
did.
can. He told me like another time that he came in. He's like, he went through our garbage can.
That's still garbage. I mean, technically, I think it's legally allowed because once it's on the curb, it's now public and people can go through it. I don't know if maybe there's some kind of health code violation.
I think it's allowed, but
you wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't want to admit to doing that. Hey, a $10 headphone. Let me go ruffle through the garbage next to the fast food joint. There's a lot of garbage in there.
Yep.
Oh my god, that was
so funny.
Oh man. Damn. I remember that guy. He was a regular, actually. He was the one that wanted to buy a recording device because he was paranoid that his significant other was cheating on him.
That's the guy. Yes. Yep.
Oh man, we had a recurring cast of characters.
We did. Yep. They used to buy the Olympus recorders.
Yeah, that were shitty before cell phones had just built-in recorders that were better.
Yeah. Those were not usually too good. So yeah.
Hey Byron, how you doing? Now, and I guess you want to talk a little bit about scams because we were selling phones and these were a hot item to scam. One that I witnessed, but I didn't deal with myself. I was in a different location. This was like when we stopped working together, and the guy came in, and one of my coworkers just sort of took him, was asking basic questions. You got a credit card? We need to do a credit check. He's like, oh, I'll come back, and then he tells me, he's like, that ID was like the worst fake ID I've ever seen, because it had his picture, it had his name, it felt real, but his description: eyes, none; height, none. All the little descriptors on the ID said the word none. They weren't blank. They said none. It was like, if you're going to pay for a fake ID, just put in like some basic information. Like, oh my God, it was the dumbest thing. What kind of scams? Like, do you remember any good scams you dealt with?
A lot of them had to do with the fake IDs and fake credit cards. So I'll never forget this one. This guy came in. Now, in our area where we worked, you are required to have a front license plate and a back license plate. That's just the law of that state. So
New York, yeah, I made that clear to people.
Oh, okay, yeah. So New York, you have to have a front and back license plate. So this truck comes in with no front plate. Now that's a little weird because you have to have a plate in New York. So I was like, this is kind of a little weird. His windows were completely blacked out. You know, that part's fine. Like, you see that often enough. The guy comes in, he's like, I'm looking for some prepaid
Yes.
Yes, Seals.
Sex. Yes, please. If I make a fake ID, I'm gonna put that. Sorry, continue.
That's too funny. So this guy comes in, he's like, I'm looking for some prepaid phones. I want to, I don't get some prepaid phones for my employees or something like that. So he's just like,
employees.
Yeah, he's like, let me get this one, this one, this one. He's just like grabbing as many as he can. And
A massive pile.
I was with somebody who was higher than me, like rank wise at the time. And he's like, just sell it to him. I mean, if his card goes through, his money's good here, So, because I was like, this doesn't sound legit. So I ring it up. He goes to swipe his credit card. His credit card literally looks like a very cheap Photoshop of what the card is supposed to look like.
Did he have a real strip on the card?
This thing is fake. It's so Photoshop, and like he printed this.
Did he put a strip? Did he put at least a strip? Did it actually read?
It read, and it actually went through. I was so surprised the card went through. And
well, the thing is, it's actually not that hard. You just take the magnetic strip, copy it or con it, and then put it on a fake one.
Yeah,
and yeah. But still, though, sketch.
But he walked out and with like $1,200 in phones, and he backs out of the parking space. He drives forward. He has no back license plate either, so he's missing the front and the back.
That's really dangerous because you can probably just get pulled over by a cop who will then ask for your ID. And if you give a cop a fake ID, you're fucked. Like that. That's not a smart move.
Yeah. So he was trying to get away with it.
Like as if we were going to write down his license plate number.
Let me not identify him. I actually called the cops and I said, hey, there's somebody on, where the place was. And I was like, he has no license plates at all. But they're like, all right, we'll look into it. So that was it, Another time, this lady comes in. She's like, I need a phone. And I'm like, all right, sure. What kind do you want? And she pointed it out. I bring it up. And she pulls out, actually, it kind of looks like this. She pulls out a stack of cards, okay? Like this. And she just starts swiping one, fails. Swipes another, fails. Swipes another, fails.
At least
And
be
I'm like,
subtle about it.
I'm like, all right, I can't do this. I'm sorry. If you failed that many times, I cannot sell this to you. I'm sorry.
Probably, I don't know, Byron. We don't really follow through most of the time.
Well, we didn't get any follow throughs, but my guess is no. He made a getaway because remember the highway's right by us, so he probably got on the highway.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and Seals just shared us some info. Apparently, you can copy credit card strips and hotel room cards. This is this way
sense,
the card
right?
can be
both
physically
magnetic,
swapped.
right? It's just magnetic.
Yeah, it's actually very simple technology. This is why you got like card grabbers in cities and why you need a wallet to block that. If I was sponsored by Rich Wallet, I'd be shilling that right now, but I'm not. So don't buy Rich Wallet. Anyway, here's another one. This was a scam, but it was someone who saw a system to abuse. This wasn't an overt crime, but it technically is a crime. We had a lady buy a GPS. And then, all right, and at the time we were running a promo. You spend over a certain amount, you get $5 coupon. That was good on most things. So she bought it, she got the coupon, and then she went to another store, returned it, said she didn't need it, and then she figures that she was going to buy a better model, bought a different GPS, bought it, got a coupon, went back to our store, returned it. It's like, actually, you know what? I need a slightly better model. And kept stacking up. And I remember she asked when she was at our store, because we shared with the other store that she was doing this. She asked us, hey, is there any other Radio Shacks like within driving distance? It's like, you're at one. Like, why do you? Yeah, we didn't really get too deep into it. I think at some point, a manager confiscated the gift card, or it confiscated the coupon, saying, unfortunately, we're going to have to confiscate this. And apparently, I think it was an issue
because you
she was just trying to get a bunch of. She was just trying to get. Well, you just buy multiple things cheap and then just get the $5 off. It was a pretty generous coupon, and I heard this secondhand that a manager confiscated the new gift, like the new coupon, saying, yeah, you're getting this illegitimately. I'm gonna have to take this, and then she apparently started to get a little confrontational, and then the manager apparently reminded her that this was technically coupon fraud and a crime. You can't just be grinding up coupons like this.
Yeah, coupon fraud. You can go to jail for that. So that's,
it depends on how much you know.
Yeah.
You should have told her MapQuest to MapQuest the other Radio Shack.
Listen, Seals, MapQuest was already gone by this point. It was all about Google Maps. There was actually, I don't think there was Waze yet, and Apple Maps wasn't even a thing yet. So
GPSs still existed at the time, though.
Phones, you know what? TomTom. You remember TomTom?
Mom or TomTom? I remember the commercials. They could get earworm commercial.
Yeah, they had the TomTom GPSs and Garmin. That was what you pretty much used.
Standalone GPSs, man. That must be like what cavemen used to use. A standalone GPS. Jeez,
some cars are not even coming with them anymore because
that's pointless too.
Yep.
But yeah. Oh man, that was. Oh, you had a TomTom. Yeah, I remember I had a Garmin myself. And I remember
this is actually the selling point. Because we sold both. We sold Garmin and TomToms. Garmin was like the official corporate brand, but TomTom was a what do you call that when you're allowed to mess with the software, like Android? Open source.
Open source?
Yeah, TomTom was open source, so it was very customizable.
I didn't even know that.
That was always the selling point. It was a little bit cheaper.
I mean, how many people took advantage of that?
Nobody, but it was a selling point.
Does anyone remember needing to update the maps on a GPS?
Yeah, it was a pain in the ass. And I remember for me updating my TomTom, I would update it, and then it would tell me that there's an update available after I updated it. So I would be sitting there forever trying to update it, and it would just never take.
Ooh, what is this? Epic just gave us some legalese. Coupon fraud varies from place to place, of course, but I've seen that its conviction up to 17 years and damages could hit $2 million. It depends, like if there's like an organized effort or if you do it for a long enough time. This is a trick stores are starting to do. They don't immediately stop you if you shoplift or you do coupon fraud. If you're a regular, they'll just note it down and then they'll spring it on you when they have like a large amount of loss. Because then at that point, the authorities will care. They obviously won't care if you steal a candy bar, but if you steal a candy bar every day, eventually it adds up. And then they can spring on, they can actually get enforcement on you. Man. But yeah, I don't know if you have any other like scam anecdotes if we want to try to go into other stories of the shack.
No, I mean most of the scams were
pretty regular,
just things with credit cards,
stupid.
a lot of fake cards.
Fake
I
IDs.
remember we used to sell these prepaid Visa cards. They were called Green Dot. They still make Green Dot. But I remember somebody tried to buy one from us, and they pulled out instead of a stack of credit cards, they pulled out a book of credit cards. They opened the book up, and you know how like I think it was really meant for trading cards. You know how like they have those sleeve, like the binder sleeves.
Oh wait, like the Pokemon card binders.
If it's like
but it was credit cards.
It was credit cards. That was very funny to me.
That would be like a subject of a prank. Like there's only a prank for you go into a store and you do that just to be like very obnoxious.
Yeah, and she didn't. She wasn't successful, but we ended up stopped selling Green Dots for this reason. It was too much fraud. Trying to collect them all, as Byron says. Yeah.
Indeed, collect all the fake credit card brands. And I guess we got like small anecdotes, like fucking Black Friday. I so don't miss dealing with that nonsense. It was so annoying. Do you remember the one Black Friday? You know, it's sort of like a team thing. Like when we work Black Friday, we're all pretty much there. We order food. We ordered some Planet Wings, and you alone got food poisoning.
I was the only one, and I don't understand it.
Good,
I got these, like,
I don't want food poisoning.
I got these nasty wings. They were like, I don't even remember, but they were.
Do you have teriyaki or something?
It was a very weird sauce that I got on them, and I'm like, this is the only sauce I haven't tried. Let me try them. And I was the only one who got food poisoning. I got so sick, I was throwing up like crazy.
It must have been something that no one orders. It was in the back, sort of like from my store at the Dollar General, where it was kept and expired.
Right.
Oh man.
Black Friday was crazy. We used to get, because we used to open at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And I remember like you would get everybody coming in at like early morning.
Man wants to be the very best fraud, like no one ever was. Oh, that is funny.
Gotta collect them all. Good Pokemon references, and Seal's very, very good Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's time to debt myself. Oh my god, these are gold.
Yeah, these are good, guys. Oh man.
Oh god. Yeah. All right. Honestly, just Black Friday, and I remember dealing with one annoying guy. This wasn't a scam, but we were selling like at the time I think it was like a 16 gig flash drive. Yeah. And they were, I forget how much they cost, but they were like really cheap. They were a doorbuster being something the store tends to lose money on. We only had like 10 of them, and we wanted to like try to spread them out and try to get some more. This guy came in and was like, yo, I want all of those you have. And I was like, all right, well, to sort of like make sure there's enough in the store, I can sell you 2 now. This. And then we can order online to ship to your house. You can get like as many as you want. And it's like, so you're not going to sell it to me? It's like, yeah, I just said we can do it, but I need some for customers throughout the day. And then he just walked out. And then he came back hours later, and
I remember.
And he had a friend of his who was like a manager at RadioShack who must have just complained to the guy. I think he complained to Mark, and Mark was like, yeah, just sell him the freaking flash drive. So we sold him all the flash drives. We had none left.
$5 each. I remember.
Oh yeah.
And at the time, that's a fantastic price. It was really
that was a decent price at the time.
We had them in a cardboard box. I remember that they were stacked in a cardboard box. Yep.
Yeah, and then he complained because he was talking with our manager during this interaction. Then he complained, and in the complaint was total fucking bullshit lies, saying that he was cursed at, he was yelled at, it was all unprofessional, and they refused to sell me things I wanted. And I think vaguely I remember the district manager saying like, yeah, this is just Black Friday nonsense. We're just gonna not take it seriously.
Well, they knew. They knew. I mean, the customers.
Yeah,
always right,
of course. Yeah, the customers always full of shit. Oh man, I'm trying to remember myself because I repressed I remember the dumbest, like, you had impulse buys. We had stocking stuffers. That was a pretty popular thing in Radio Shack, like a
Yeah.
fixture of stocking stuffers. The
Yep.
dumbest thing we sold one year was nose hair trimmer.
That doesn't even make sense as to like why we would sell something like that.
Who would want that? Like freaking nose hair trimmer at Radio Shack as a stocking stuffer? You're gonna give someone a nose hair trimmer. Here you go. Take the hint. This
That's
is
a good stocking
stupidest
stuffer.
Yeah, nose hair trimmer. Oh my god, that was so stupid. Oh man. And even on Black Friday, I mean, we were busier, but we were never that busy. And for some reason, corporate wanted people to work on Thanksgiving, which was ridiculous. No one I remember our old manager, one of the old managers, like the manager was like, I'm working alone on Thanksgiving. Like, you guys, just enjoy your Thanksgiving. And he said basically no one showed up at all.
Yeah. That was actually the very first Thanksgiving that I can remember where stores opened. It was like 2012, 2013 in time.
They spent more money on payroll than products sold.
Right. Yep.
Have you ever reached your patience with a customer and blew up at them? I never did.
No.
I just sort of gave them a look. I think
you would be fired if that happened.
Yeah, pretty. But then again, it's a retail store. Like, who fucking cares? I'm gonna fire from this retail store. I'm gonna go somewhere else. I almost I got pissed at the one guy who got upset over 15 cents, but I was just very dismissive, like just really perplexed that he would make that hill to die on 15 cents. I vaguely remember one of our coworkers, I think we had like a repair system where we would send things off to repair, and this guy sent the thing in. We told him there's a chance that they might not be able to repair it, and like this is going to be a big waste of time, and just so you know, I was like, yeah, whatever. So then the time came, like he sent it off and they sent it back, can't repair it, and apparently he totally flipped out, like at the employee, and the employees like yelled back at him. See, this is why I told you that this wasn't worth our time, because this would happen. I told you it wouldn't happen, and you're getting mad at me, and I told you it wouldn't happen. And I don't know the confrontation. I think it sort of fizzled out.
He still had to pay for it.
He had to pay for shipping, I think.
Yeah, for the shipping to get it fixed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember the guy I heard secondhand that he yelled back at him, was like, I told you this was a waste of time. You didn't listen to me, and now you're yelling at me. I told you this was happening, and it happened. So, but I think it sort of fizzled out after that point. I think he did complain to get a refund of the shipping, but, whatever. Oh, I just remembered another interesting one. I remember someone, they used to, when people buy phones from us, we gave them an option to sell their old phone. We rip people off doing this. But one person was like, I think, I don't remember the full situation, but they were they were a slightly older woman, like in their like maybe late 40s. And they were like, I'm going to leave my phone here. I'm going to think about it. I'll be back. Never came back. We put the phone in the safe. Months went by. They never came back. So one of our coworkers took it upon themselves, like, okay, it's been long enough. I'm just going to sell this. I'm going to sell this on like eBay or something. Like, who cares? Who cares? Honestly, they left their damn phone. It's been months. If we turned it into the police, they would have signed it back to the store, because it's been too long, but whatever. It truly didn't matter, and I completely understand that he did this. I probably would have done this too. He's the one who handled the phone, and he claimed the phone. Then, not like maybe a month or two after he sold it, this lady came back in. It's like, I need my phone back. I left my phone here. I need my phone back. I was like, excuse me? Like, and I wasn't here for this, but apparently it was a big to-do that we didn't have the phone she left us, even though it's been months, and corporate apparently gave her money back for the value of the phone or something. But
that's crazy.
It was just really perplexing that you come back months later.
I do know for Radio Shack, if you were a customer, you got whatever you wanted. If you
well, that's almost every store.
Yeah. If you made a stink, you got what you wanted, because they would just do anything to keep you as a customer.
They would pay you to dismiss you, because if you complained on social media, that's worse than the money to throw at you to shut you up.
I mean, yeah. Social media wasn't even that crazy back then. Like, I don't even think Radio Shack had a Twitter or Facebook or anything.
Well, no, but it was looked at.
Yeah, it was looked at. It's just not what it is today.
Do you remember when Radio Shack tried to do social media for employees only?
Briefly. I never used it once.
who would use that shit? Like, you obviously couldn't vent for real because you had to sign up with your actual employee number and name. So if you said,
Yeah.
man, the Radio Shack, you guys are, the store is fucking like dumb, like it's run like shit. Yeah, obviously you couldn't say that on their social media platform, and no one took advantage of it. Like, the idea was maybe to like, I don't know, like just sort of vent, release, or like just talk about the scene in general. But it was the stupidest thing. Like, why would employees like engage on a social media platform, like, which it couldn't be, it was pretty like, well, like you couldn't get into it if you weren't an employee, and it was like pretty protected, but like who would do such a thing? Like, it was so stupid.
I want
So
to say it was called Radio Shack Hub. I think that was the
I
name.
don't
Radio
remember.
Shack Hub.
Maybe.
Yeah. Wow. What a stupid idea. I don't know who thought of that. Can you imagine the money that went into that when they could have been using that money to keep themselves up?
They made so many dumb decisions. Like, they focused on the I mean, if we want to talk about the business end of it, we had to like, they were focusing on the cell phones when Radio Shack actually made a good profit from batteries, wires, and like stuff like resistors and capacitors, components. Those were high profit, and people who wanted those knew what they were getting. But they went away from the hobbyists and went full on to the phones, and they figured they would make it all back in attaching, like cases and whatnot. But no one wanted to buy a case from in store; they would buy it online.
Right.
You ever give nicknames to places you worked? I gave Office Depot the nickname of Office Shithole. I mean, this was the Shack was a funny one. It was a nickname that the store tried to push, but then they pulled back from it. Figures, oh yeah, it's a Shack. What a total fucking Shack that place was.
For us, Seals, we didn't have to. They came up with their own nicknames. In 2008, they tried to rebrand themselves as just the Shack, and people did not take to it. It did not catch on. So they said, all right, we'll go back to Radio Shack. And then in like their very last days, they tried to rebrand as Radio Shack with like a tagline. It didn't work. It sucked.
I remember how desperate they got. Like, they paid money on like a Super Bowl commercial with Weird Al Yankovic. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna try to pull that up. The commercial itself wasn't bad, but it was like they were trying way too hard. Hold on.
Right. I actually liked the commercial. I was like, wow, this may work, but they were trying way too hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, do you want to, while I'm looking this up, do you want to bring out like what happens when people buy a phone with the receipts that get printed out?
So one thing I want to show, I always found this hilarious, is when somebody buys a phone, Radio Shack was so stupid. What they would do is they would print, I mean, actually some stores still do this. Walmart still does this when you send money to like Puerto Rico or something. They print the entire terms of service. They probably legally have to on the receipt. So you would have, when somebody bought a phone, a receipt that's literally like 30 feet long. Well, one day somebody bought 4 phones. So the receipt was hilarious. It was so long. I actually have a picture of it. I'm going to share that right now with you guys. GK, I think you have to click it because it's not letting me click it.
No, you're not clicking on the right thing. You got to click on one at the bottom. God damn it. I have to do everything.
There we go. So,
scene, the different scene.
This is all one receipt. I mean, yeah, see how it's like kind of like it's
you see it's going around the shelf. It's going around the shelf.
It's going around the entire shelf. Look how long that thing is. That was from 4 phones. Somebody bought 4 phones. Hi. So it went all the way around that long shelf and then back. I thought that was hilarious.
Waste of paper.
Such a waste of paper.
Why not say like have a separate paper, or I don't know if they had the technology to like email the terms separate, because who would read through a receipt paper like this?
We only added emails later on. This is before we added emails. It was only towards the end of our Radio Shack life that they added emails, but
I'd love you guys to react to this video. Oh, is that what you alluded to, the Shack? I just, when I was looking it up, I saw Shack come up in the Radio Shack commercial. When the fuck did Shack do a Radio Shack commercial? This is all right. Let me look that up too. Hold on. Well, first I want to show the
let's see this, because I haven't seen this in years.
Hold on, I gotta share.
I saw this live actually.
We're gonna do it live. All right, Chrome tab, Radio Shack. Okay, let's do this. Add to stream, and here we go.
Hi, do you have heliquads?
Heliquads? Follow me!
Toyland, ideas for girls and boys, and even cousin Bob, who's 43 and lives at home. Such a joyland, they'll be inspired.
You cannot control those quadcopters that good.
This is where you always start when you're wanting to give smart.
Wow. Do you guys have batteries?
Batteries?
Gift Smart with up to 50% off speakers.
I love, oh man.
All right, in my opinion,
bunch of shit.
I loved that commercial. I thought that was good, and it was a good rebranding of RadioShack. This is where they started to take those snowflakes and stuff. But like,
oh man,
this
let me look at the one Seals gave us. Hold
this
on.
Did nothing for them. No, Seals,
no.
I think was saying he's making a joke about TikTok videos, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, but I want. Let's see.
You just lost yourself a customer. You think I own this business? You think I own IKEA? I'm a part-time employee halfway through a 2-week notice. I don't give a shit. I'm telling all my friends not to shop here. Tell them. You think I want 5 other yous running around the store? Have them call me, I'll tell them.
That's so good.
Than me, I work here. I know the sale ended last week, but can I still get a discount? Do you hear yourself? Time marches on. You know what the sale from
oh man, I'd never seen these.
When did it end,
The sale from 15 years ago. That's so good.
Do you know how
Seals,
much
this
money
is
I spend
fantastic.
here
Thank
more
you.
than you should? Meatballs ain't that good. Save your money and my time.
Oh.
Doesn't matter how much you spend here. We don't thank our donors. This isn't PBS. Every time I come here, my order gets messed up. Then stop coming. Make my day. Every time you come here, your order's messed up. Sounds like you're making the mistake. Look inward. You're ordering the wrong shit. I'd like to speak to your manager. I'd like to speak to your mother. Tell her she should be embarrassed. She raised someone to act like a baby in public. You want to speak to the manager, please?
Oh.
Manager doesn't know what's going on. Haven't you ever worked anywhere before? I know that's not.
All right, I don't want to play too much of someone else's content, but that was. I would recommend everyone click on that link that
I am gonna watch
Seals gave us.
after this. Actually, yeah, that's
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, everyone watch that. You know, like and sub to them because that was pretty funny stuff there. Oof. Oh my goodness. All right. So while we think about other anecdotes, if anyone wants to hop in to share any stories themselves from the retail sphere, feel free to do so. I can queue you up. Just make sure your mic is working. A cam is not necessary, but I would recommend you upload an avatar. But yeah, you know. Anyway, I'm trying to think of any other. I remember when we had a remote control helicopter. That commercial reminded me, the Weird Al one. We had a remote control helicopter we just played with in the store. And we would show it off to customers. It was a good sale. We had the really good helicopter, and then we would sell people the shitty one that was cheaper and more affordable. But I remember like we had like a young kid who must have been like 6 or 7 or something, and was like, "Hey, we sell these little helicopters. Here, why don't you let your kid play with this and like just see how it is?" So then we gave him the remote and we put the helicopter down. He went full throttle, went straight in his face, full force. Like right in his face, and he just immediately, of course, he immediately started crying. The propeller smacked him. Ugh.
It was like,
oh my
it was like
gosh.
right after he picked it up too. There was like no time in between.
It was
He
straight
just,
in.
Yeah. He picked it up. He's like, let me see what this is all about, and then immediately, just right in his face.
Then I told the mother, see, this is the importance of the service plan. I didn't really say that. But yeah, that was funny. Some of the stuff we saw. I actually bought the little shitty poverty copter. Thing does not control well. It keeps spinning, and it's just
You don't
hard to
still
control
have it, do you?
I do. I don't think I do. Buried in the basement, probably crushed or thrown out. I have no idea. Maybe it's worth money. A RadioShack collectible. Have you ever scared a customer?
Very good. Have I ever scared a customer? No. I was very respectful. I try to be as like respectful as I could. I loved RadioShack. I didn't ever want to get fired from there.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the job too. We were mostly getting paid to watch TV. I guess one thing that really sucks, and this sucks for like maybe Walmart or grocery stores more. It sucked real bad in Dollar General, but it still sucked in RadioShack. Was following planograms. Do you remember that shit? The stupid planograms.
Every Saturday they would change the planogram. Well, sorry, I'm thinking of the signs. Every Saturday they change the signs, and I would always have to take these giant signs down, put these new giant signs up, and it was so annoying on a Saturday night.
Is your mic scraping against your zipper?
Oh yeah,
I'm hearing a crack.
Sorry.
All right, continue.
So anyway, planograms though. Planograms were like how you showed each item. So I remember we had a planogram for clocks, which basically says the Timex clock has to be on the top shelf, and the RadioShack clock has to be, second shelf. Those were so annoying.
Oh, what have you got here, Seals? Let me see. I did on accident once. Just to, hey, you find everything all right? This old guy screamed out loud, and the whole store heard. Oh, you mean like you startled someone?
I've definitely startled people before. I'm like, they're just like looking at the headphones, and I'm like, hey, can I help you find something? They're like, oh, I didn't know you were there. Like, you don't hear my footsteps behind you. I'm not a thin guy.
Oof. All right. Oh well, damn. That was. I don't know if you remember this. When I actually came into the store when I wasn't even working. I forget why, but then we had a guy who may or may not have been involved in, let's say, activities that were outside the legal realm, and he wanted to buy a bunch of prepaid phones, and he tipped us all like a lot of money.
I briefly remember that one. Yeah, where he just wanted a lot of prepaid phones, and
we told him, you don't have to tip us. It's like corporate doesn't like it. And then he started to make a play to the cameras, like, hey, I'm giving your people money. Try and stop me. It's like, and then oh my god, it was so weird.
The best was the customers. I mean, the customers were just so funny. I mean, one customer that I loved this customer. I spent a good half hour about talking to this guy about TVs. He asked every question under the sun about television.
Didn't buy shit, did he?
I gave him everything. Okay. Now in RadioShack, it's a small store. We only sell 3 different kinds of TVs. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm explaining, here's this TV, this TV, this TV. This one probably works best for you from what you're asking me. He says, listen, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the knowledge you've given me. I'm going to go buy it at Walmart down the street. Because it's a lot cheaper there. But I appreciate you talking to me and giving me all that info.
Did he give you a tip?
This was such a waste of time. No, he gave me no tip. This was such a waste of time.
I got tipped occasionally when I used to repair the phones. The thing is, every phone I repaired, they gave me a commission. Like on the spot, I get I forget what it was, like maybe 10 or 15 per phone. But someone So like I would often get people giving me a 5 or a 10. Which I got
tips occasionally. In my
if the managers are around, we gotta reject it. If they're not around, oh, thank you. I very much appreciate that.
In my early days, I noticed that RadioShack did not have a repair program for computers, so I started my own, and I said, I'll repair your computer, and you give me X amount of money. I would just set a price. And the manager would look the other way as I was doing it because I wasn't competing with RadioShack. We didn't have a repair program.
But still, though, it's like a questionable action. You're trying to shill your own third party activities. We got offers to set up sound systems for people. I never did that myself.
That I never did. I did get this one lady who asked me to fix her computer. It was my very first computer I fixed, and I forgot to install drivers. And on Windows XP, if you don't install drivers, the thing just doesn't work. You have to do that all manually. So she came back. She was very pissed. I remember this old lady. She asked me to teach her how email works. She paid me $100 for me to teach her how email works.
Did you teach her how emails work?
Yeah, I actually went to her house to show her Google Chrome and here's how you click Gmail. Here's how you write emails. Here's how you organize your email. I spent about an hour with her. She paid me $100.
$100 an hour. Nice. Why don't you just tell her to go on YouTube for a guide, which she won't be able to see the dislikes for anymore to tell if they're bad or not?
YouTube guides weren't as popular back then. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh shoot, I just forgot one. I was just thinking about it. I hate when that happens. Damn it. Teaching I just remember. So teaching old people how to click was easy money. Yes. I just remembered, like, I got a phone call once. Someone was just asking, like, they were just, and again, we talked about this before, that the business model of RadioShack was, we're going to help any customer with anything to the best of your ability. We're like low tier IT. Had someone call in saying, my computer just suddenly won't be able to turn on. I don't know what's going on. I'm hitting the power button. The power button like flashes yellow, but then it doesn't turn on. I was like, okay, ask. It's like, so wait, do you have a laptop or desktop? I was like, well, I don't understand the difference. I was like, okay, is your computer in two pieces or does it fold open? It's like, oh, it's in two pieces. Yes. And I asked, and where is the button located? Oh, it's on like the bottom left of the monitor. I'm hitting the button, but the computer won't turn on. I was like, okay, go to the other half of the computer. Is there a button on that? Yeah? Hit that button. Tell me if your computer turns on. Oh, that did the trick. Thank you, sir. You helped me fix my broken computer.
I actually, speaking of broken stuff, I had multiple people who came in and just gave me free stuff. Now, this was kind of weird. So I can specifically remember a couple of examples. So this guy came in with, I think, 2 or 3 PS3s. At the time, the PS3 was the most modern console. And he's like, these don't work. Do you want them? And I was like, sure. So he just gave me 2 PS3s. They had the yellow light of death, so you could fix it. But it's kind of weird.
Not easy.
Yeah, not easy to fix, but you can fix them. Another guy, he just this is actually a lady, sorry. She just walked in. She's like, do you take trade-ins? And I'm like, no, only of phones. She wants to trade in PS2 controllers, brand new PS2 controllers. And she's like, all right, well, you can just have them. She gave me 3 brand new PS2 controllers in the box. And I only kept one of them.
Non-used?
Unused, brand new. In the box.
Good thing you didn't tell her to go to GameStop. They probably would have gave her like $3 in-store credit.
Yeah. She gave them to me. I sold 2 of them. One of them I kept. I just checked the other day what it's worth. It's worth $80 now. So, like, that's kind of crazy to think about. She just gave me that. Like, that's awesome.
I never had that. Like, someone just giving you free stuff. I do remember that we had display phones, and whenever there was a new phone, we would throw out the old ones, and you would sell them, and they go for like a pretty decent amount. I mean, like, people
we used to have these display phones. Yeah.
Who wants display phones? I don't get it.
Some parents would buy them for their kids, like very little kids, to just give them and like, here you go. I would sell them for $1 each. Some people bought them.
And free money. Oof. All right. So again, if anyone has any story to share, call in, and if anyone has anything they'd like to share. I want to also just bring up our old manager, Alyssa, her name was. I don't know if we talked about her already for a different circumstance. I remember that at RadioShack we would occasionally have raffles, like employee raffles, and there was some decent prizes. Like maybe there was a TV here, like an iPod back when that was relevant there. But there was a whole bunch of like garbage prizes no one wanted. And Alyssa won something, and then they say, hey, we're gonna send you a prize. And when I was in the store, when she got her prize, she opened it up, and it was like one of these cheap, crappy remote control cars. And it was one of those remote control cars that does not turn left or right. It only goes forward and back. Like, and it was like really crappy, cheap plastic. She just wanted to go back and forth, and I couldn't help but laugh at how crappy it was, and she was like all pissed off, like very obviously. And then as she was playing with it, like not like 2 or 3 minutes later, the batteries all died and it stopped working. And she was like, she's like, I fucking hate this store. She said something like, I fucking hate this store sometimes. And I told her, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I just find this funny. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it, but this sucks.
Wow, man, those were the days. That was such a cheap garbage gift. That's all they could afford to
Hilarious. Well, they did have like some good prizes, but they wanted to make it seem like they're giving away a lot. So they had one or two good things and a bunch of garbage no one wanted. I remember there was like a digital photo frame, which I guess if you want something like that, it's fine. But if you're not buying something like that and you just get it, what are you going to use that for?
Just give a RadioShack gift card. I don't understand why they wouldn't just do that.
You might, yeah. I mean, well, the thing is though, that's like straight. They might buy something that's low profit margin. They're giving you the low profit shit.
Yeah.
They're giving you the high profit stuff that they don't lose money on.
Right, low cost. Yeah.
We actually had the ability to see what the warehouse value of items were when we were looking up items. It's like, this wire cost $12, but it cost 20 cents at the warehouse.
My favorite was the cassette tape that I talked about earlier. It's a cassette tape you put into the
What was
car.
that called?
I think it's just cassette tape to aux.
Cassette to aux? Yeah, back when most cars had a cassette player.
Yeah, so that was one of our best sellers. Now the thing was $25. I looked.
People had to buy them.
Yeah, I looked up.
They
had
no other
option to make, and it cost 25 cents for us to make it.
Cars didn't have an aux input or Bluetooth yet.
Right. And I knew you could go up to the dollar store and get one for $1. We saw one for $25. That's nuts. That's crazy.
Ours were higher quality. They lasted like 3 or 4 weeks. The dollar store ones only lasted
said that to me.
2 or 3.
They made that argument with me. They said ours was higher quality, and I said, "Who cares? You can buy 25 of them for the same price as ours."
Yeah, I mean, if it's low quality, just cycle them out. Yeah, that is indeed true.
Right.
Damn. Oh God. And dealing with audits suck. Do you remember dealing with audits?
Oh yes, that's where we had to scan every single item in the store. That was such a pain in the ass.
We could see just how much got stolen, and we didn't even notice.
Right.
As we were scanning, like, I don't remember. I think in the back, like wedged behind a shelf, we found a really, really old. I think it was like maybe a button battery from like the 80s or something. A really old packaging. That's
cool. The old packaging is kind of cool.
And I remember at the time though, we had an encyclopedia knowledge of batteries, just like the different types, the common items that are used in. You knew like the other name of a AA, which I think was LR34, LR33.
I thought it was LR6.
LR6.
Yeah.
Okay, I might be misremembering. But then I also learned about quadruple A batteries. You learn about
it is LR6. I just looked it up.
Oh, good for you. You have slightly better memory. But yeah, like all that like weird things, like the batteries used in garage door openers that were like a AA battery but cut in half. Stuff like that. Like, this is a whole realm I didn't even know about. Like you think AA, AAA, nope, it's like 20.
Yeah. That's just like the chargers. Like they had a business just of making different size batteries. Like that's just use the same size.
Probably have to have 8 HDMI cords, but none of them broke. Well, your service plan's expired. You're not getting a new one.
Yeah, good thing you didn't get the service plan, because
probably did. Maybe you forgot about it. When I moved to my rental home, I was emptying the house and came across a Toys R Us AA battery. I didn't even know they had their own battery. Actually, a lot of stores have their own brand stuff like that. But that must have been like badly acid leaked and corroded. I can only imagine.
High profit margin, so everybody has one. Yep.
Yeah, they're very cheap to produce, and they just buy it from like a third-party seller that sells batteries, and they just slap their name on the thing.
Right.
Do you remember having we also had a service of recycling rechargeable batteries? That was annoying to deal with.
Oh yeah, you'd have to put it in the bag. You'd have to seal the bag up.
And it was annoying when people have one of these big. We didn't take car batteries, but we did. Some people did have like these bigger brick batteries.
For alarm systems. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. Those were annoying to deal with too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Do you remember? And now like I'm struggling to remember because I repressed a lot of this.
I loved this stuff. If I could still work at RadioShack, I still would.
I mean, if they paid good, I didn't mind it too much. But the thing is, retail always pays bad. That's just the unfortunate reality of it. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about like the trends of where the industry is going, because a lot of like working retail is becoming like obsolete with like the store, like an Amazon store where you just get your items and you leave and it's able to auto charge you. I feel like they'll have a way less staff, but a much more specialized staff that's paid more. Instead of paying someone minimum wage, like a whole crew of people minimum wage, they have a much more dedicated crew of people that actually get, actual pay. Oh, the metaverse, I vaguely saw it. I honestly, I don't understand it. I feel like, how's that any better than just shopping online, like looking at listings? It just seems like a good tech demo. I'm sure Walmart or Amazon sells HDMI for super cheap if I had to replace them. Sure, but you can swap them out hassle-free.
Don't you want
minus...
the higher quality RadioShack one for $50? Come on, think of smart.
They really need to pay more for retail jobs. I mean, it might happen if they specialize the stores that way.
Well, I almost want to say they do. Like now, isn't minimum wage much higher, or at least they're willing to pay much more than they did?
I hear that. I mean, I feel like the retail stores are seeing where the trends are going. With like minimum wage is going up, and you can argue with that causing other economic issues. Because now they're not willing to pay people that much to do the job, so they're going to make people do more work for the pay, which might mean you're running more ragged in the store, but it also means the store can probably invest in more smart technology and then make the people working there more specialized in certain skills. This is a big thing with truck drivers; like they have to be more specialized now, and we have a truck driver shortage, and that's a problem. It's not any better. The Walmart tech demo is worthless, and it's going to take customers longer to shop than the current. Yeah, I feel like it's just a big tech demo for VR. I don't get the metaverse thing yet. Maybe it'll make sense later, but nah.
I haven't seen that, so I'm not sure what that is.
It's like you put on a VR headset. You put on a VR headset and you shop in a store.
Do you actually get the products that you pick out?
I think so. I think you actually pick up and then look at the product, and there'll be like a bunch of overlays telling you about the product. The thing though, it works, so it's not a full store. You have one row. You're in one row with certain items. You want to go to a new row, it sinks down and spawns a new aisle. So you're in a singular aisle that keeps changing.
Here's something that I really like about this idea. What if you were able to go shop at RadioShack in the metaverse? You know what I mean? Like you were.
Well, the thing is, online shopping would be more efficient.
The store's not around anymore, so you can
online shopping is still more efficient. Like you go through like a whole page and you can look for stuff specifically instead of eyeballing it.
For nostalgia reasons. What if you want to go back and shop at Toys R Us? Toys R Us is not around anymore. What if you want to have the nostalgia of going back to Toys R Us?
Put your kids in their VR headset, let them look around and shop for toys that you won't buy them.
Well, it's not for the kids, it's for me. What if I have nostalgia for Toys R Us?
And I guess I want to, it's sort of changing topics a little bit here, but maybe we should talk about the end of RadioShack, because we did talk about it, how we knew like a month in advance that they were about to declare bankruptcy, and I was jumping stores, you were jumping stores, and I think you left at, I don't remember which one of us left first, but we changed stores,
actually,
and then I left.
This pisses me off because the end of RadioShack, so I put in 5 years there. Now you would think that would earn me a little respect to tell me that you're closing the freaking store. But the manager never told me that the store was even closing. So what ended up happening is this sucked. At the end of RadioShack days, they announced that they were declaring bankruptcy. They said they were going to try to liquidate as much product as they can.
They were selling everything, the shelves, the hooks, the chairs.
Everything. Yeah. It was really sad to see like all the shelving go. They literally sold anything and everything. They were selling things for like $2.
They had bags full. They had bags full of cases of like old phones, like, and the manager priced it at $1 just to get it out.
They just wanted to get stuff out. And at the end of the day, they did get everything out. But what they did is they made us only work like, so for example, I only started working on Sundays. They try to limit hours like a huge amount. I used to work 45 hours a week. Then they changed me to only working like an 8-hour shift on Sundays. So, I only worked a small amount of time. And I remember it was in February. I was actually working with you on my very last day. And I had no idea that was my last day. I had no idea the store was closing I believe the store closed that Wednesday. So Sunday was my last day. The store closed on Wednesday. I had no idea. I found out from you that morning. The manager did not tell me. He did not give me any notice. Nothing. He told me like months before that, oh, this is going to be the end. Let's have a nice pizza party towards the end. Never got that. I'm still mad about that whole thing because that, like, I put in 5 years there. How do I not even know it's my last day when I'm going in on my last day?
And they didn't care. I remember they also started firing a whole bunch of managers. I remember we had a new district manager. He made up excuses to fire certain people. I remember one guy, I forget his name, but he was kind of a cool guy at the other location that you weren't at, but I was at. And they fired him because he had too many receipts in the return drawer. Like, what the fuck? What kind of excuse is that?
That's funny.
It's the dumbest thing.
I remember they were firing managers left and right for a while. It was at least for the last year or two. There was
especially the assistant managers when they eliminated that position and they wanted to fire the people in that position.
They wanted to just get rid of them because they didn't want to pay for that position anymore. One of the very funniest was, we described earlier how we were on a highway. So it was 1, 2, 3. We were the third store on that highway. The very first store on that highway was in a mall. And the manager at that store was known to be a bit of a pervert. That was just what he was known for. And it always slid under the table because he never took it too far. And I remember one day, he took it a little too far. He put his hand on one of the younger girls and said that he wanted to get with her. And the district manager had to go over and fire him. That was the final straw. And that wasn't the first time he touched an employee, like just put his hand on them and stuff. But that was the final straw.
The thing about that is they don't like firing managers when they do that because it acknowledges the issue. They usually just reassign them, remove them.
Yeah,
But yeah, they needed a reason, and that was like, probably should have fired him after the first offense, but of course they won't. Ugh, and the atmosphere in it was weird. Everything was going. We were selling the shelves, like the parts drawer. That was like a thing people really wanted, and that was expensive. I remember.
Yeah,
but not as parts, expensive.
Those parts today are very hard to come by. Even online, they're hard to come by.
Yeah. Whew, boy. And being able to, it was funny when I got my job after that, the telecommunications job, and we were talking about like, so I'm gonna ask this mostly as a formality. I already know the answer, but why are you leaving RadioShack? I was like, oh yeah, they declared bankruptcies officially like, a little bit ago, and I had to jump that ship. But hey, I learned a lot from working there for so long. It was pretty funny.
I mean, you guys were open a lot longer after our store closed. It was like at least 6 months or 8 months. I don't know what took you guys so long to sell all the products.
It was gasping on fumes. The thing is, not enough people were going there to buy everything, and we really they told the managers price things whatever, we need stuff out, and they would. I mentioned before, they just put a whole bunch of products in like a freaking garbage bag and say this bag's $1, this bag's $2. We just want it out, and it was. People would buy it indiscriminately. I bought a couple of things as it was going down.
I actually,
a couple of the snowflake lights for Christmas.
Oh, okay. I actually went to Utah this past summer, 2021, and there was a RadioShack there. The only RadioShacks that are still open are the franchise locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was only like 200 of those in the whole U.S. And Canada, U.S. and Canada. But I went in and they still have the same price tags. So that brought back some good memories. They still have the same like SKU codes. It was a weird trip back in time. Supposedly, actually, Seals, I think you said you worked at Hobby Lobby. They made a deal with Hobby Lobby that they were supposed to open up like mini RadioShacks in Hobby Lobbies. I don't know if that ever went through or not.
I doubt it at that. I mean, if it was near the end.
What eventually happened is I think Sprint bought RadioShack. So
I remember they had Sprint reps in the store that were separate from the rest of RadioShack. I was gone by this point when they were leaving.
What ended up happening
stores.
is like any RadioShack store that was still left just became a Sprint store, which was then eventually bought out by T-Mobile. So that became a T-Mobile store.
Yeah, complicated. Now all those Radio Shack stores. I mean, our first Radio Shack store, the sign is still there, even though it got bought out by a different type of store.
I was just there on Friday, actually. Yep.
So for context, our store was a shared building with only with a Payless shoe store. They were together. Both of us went out of business, and someone bought both of those stores and made it one big store. Our half, the Radio Shack half, they have it like behind a bunch of like tarps or whatever. They don't even go there. And I remember when I peeked in, I saw our old fly swatter that had the kill markers on it.
Yes, I saw that. Yep.
So when no one kept our fly swatter that was like basically falling apart and had the little kill marks.
That thing was being held together by tape. We had to use tape to hold it together. It was so busted up.
And do you remember why we had a fly problem over there?
No. Oh yeah.
It was your fault, remember?
No, wasn't it Wendy's? Wendy's was right next door.
Well, no, that was the excuse. But you don't remember the shit you used to pour into the bushes?
No.
Oh, now you're denying. You poured milk and like cereal in there.
Oh yes, I would put because I would eat cereal and I didn't want to drink the milk after, so I just poured it in the bushes, and then we had a big fly problem because of that.
Right in front of our store.
Yeah, well, you know.
And then you said, "Oh man, Wendy's, they must really attract the flies, even though they're all in front of the store."
All right, listen, Wendy's definitely catered to that as well.
Yeah, he did water the bushes with milk.
That's the way I saw it. I was trying to be a good person and water the bushes. That's the way I saw it, okay?
You're being a good person feeding a lot of hungry flies.
Because if you think about it, I'm sure bushes need some sort of calcium intake. So
I don't know. Hey, is milk good for plants? I'm actually, this is a total tangent. Is milk good for plants? It's beneficial for plants too. Milk serves as a fertilizer.
And I knew that in 2014.
And
that's why
it acts as an antifungal and pesticidal. Not the pesticidal shit. That's a fucking lie. It attracted flies. Well, the thing is, you were pouring milk from cereal that probably had like a little bit of cereal.
A lot of sugar. It had a lot of sugar in it.
Oh yeah, the sugar. That's what got the flies in you. You did not eat healthy Cheerios. You ate the children.
No, for me it was always Fruit Loops and Frosted Flakes. Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I think we're probably getting pretty close to the point of wrapping. I will open it up last second if anyone wants to jump in and give like a quick anecdote. Otherwise, we will revisit this topic. We'll probably expand it because I have stories from the call center. Fruity Pebbles. Yeah, those are good too.
Yes, that's my favorite cereal. I'm actually craving that. Yep.
Yeah, not to mention our mutual friend Rez. He worked at GameStop, and there's probably a lot of stories for GameStop.
I have a ton more stories, but I'm gonna save them for next time. One of them
write
is
them down.
Really good. I met a really famous guy. But I'll save that one.
Oh, you just made me remember. I met one of the Baldwin brothers.
When?
Oh, I'll share this real quick. He came. It was in the other store where I repaired phones. That was further away in Jersey. I didn't even know it was him. My supervisor told me after the fact. He wanted to buy like a USB to USB transfer cable from two PCs, and when I showed it to him, and he's like, "That's way too expensive, and I'm gonna pass on that." I was like,
"Dude's
okay."
Probably like rich.
Yeah, probably. Wow. Yeah. Well. Anyway, it's funny in hindsight because I remember the controversy at the time was one of the Baldwin brothers had like a tax evasion like thing accusation. If I met one of the Baldwin brothers now, I was like, oh hey, that guy Alec killed the person. Kind of a tough situation to be in. Wow. Oh well, I mean, there's always something with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but you write that down in because I don't even remember.
I do have it written down, so I will bring that up.
And thinking, well, to be fair, it was like fucking $50 or some shit. It was a transfer cable to transfer files from one PC to another, and it was overpriced and had like a little thing in the middle.
We used to charge $40 for that cable, so I'm guessing that's why he walked away.
Yeah, he walked away. All right, well, Yeah, again, I'm gonna look for someone to raid, but you know, if anyone wants to jump in, we will hear you out. Otherwise, we won't do this topic. I mean, it depends on how I feel. I think we might save the topic for like an episode or two, and then maybe we'll revisit a little bit later. I'm gonna see if there's anyone worth raiding by chance. I don't know. I see someone's playing Sekiro, so we will well, I'll raid this person playing Sekiro unless any of you see anyone worth raiding. Anyway, that was fun. This was a good topic of discussion. Brings back a lot of repressed memories and all that. I appreciate all of you hanging with us. And be on the lookout in my Discord here. Let me plug this real quick. On my Discord, I made a new role and a channel, so if anyone wants to share for a topic, you can do it ahead of time in case you think you might not be able to do it live, and we can share your takes from the Discord. So that'll be good. Anyway, let me set her up. Let me set this raid up. If anyone has any topic ideas, feel free to share, because we did talk about our retail experiences. We can probably talk about general work experiences too. And also whatever, you know, is relevant in gaming. I am still finishing Outer Wilds. I don't know if it's probably worth like a small part of a next playlist, me talking about that game when I finish it. Do you have any games you've been playing recently, Deathrow?
Not new games. They're just very, very old games.
Oh yeah, or games in general, like any games that are new to you.
No. What I do is when I'm bored, I replay old games. So for me, I've been replaying Far Cry 3 and Call of Duty 2. So I've already played those before, but I'm playing them again.
I should really go through my Steam list of games I bought and never played. That's the thing we can probably talk about. Go through a list of games. Well, at least for me, I bought a shit ton of games I never played. I actually figured this out mathematically because we talked about it on a different stream. I've played about 70% of the games I bought, which isn't bad, but there's 30% of the games I didn't even touch. Didn't even load up.
That's crazy.
That's not even counting the games I played for less than an hour.
Epic. I am also playing Modern Warfare 2. I'm trying to 100% the achievements on it, so that's funny. I'm doing it too.
All right then. Well, let's see here. Dead Cells. I recently got the rest of the DLC and haven't even beat the game. Okay.
I haven't heard of Dead Cells, but Epic, that's exactly where I'm stuck, man. I stopped playing because of the Spec Ops. Those are terrible. And I did do them at one point, but I have to redo them now. So,
all right then. Well, I think we've been on for about 2 hours, which it's slightly long, but I think it's fine. I'm gonna set this raid up. That was good. And when we get to him, tell him he got raided. His name is Cats in the Back. He's playing Sekiro, died twice, which is Dark Souls, but Japanese culture, pretty much. I have 300 plus game on PS4. Pretty sure 200 of them I haven't even touched. Yeah, I know that feel.
Epic,
anyway,
we are gonna have to talk. That sounds awesome. I want to.
Yes, that'll be a good topic. Games we have that we never played.
We'll talk next stream. Yeah.
Maybe I'll think about it. 2 weeks from now, probably, maybe, depending on how things go. Anyway. I'll catch you all later, and I appreciate you all listening to our spiel.
Thanks for joining, guys. Later.